Hello everybody and welcome to the final episode of Redesigning My Childhood Characters by randomly rolling your suggested aesthetics. That's right, you heard me right. It's the final episode, at least involving the Celestials directly. I am very attached to them all and have a couple more ideas that I might turn into videos just to hold on to these groups once more. But that is besides the point. Today we are drawing the last two Celestials of the group before moving on to other sections of my childhood characters. So let's not drag this intro out and let's get right into it, shall we? Alright, so for our first character we are going to spin that wheel, for which we got the aesthetic masculine cottagecore with the color palette blue, green, and bright yellow, and the character Mizar, which big shocker on that last one. A couple of things. First off, you might notice that at the start of the video I said I drew two characters but I only had one name on the wheel. In getting to Mizar and spinning it as a joke for the content, because I thought there was only one character left, I had the nagging feeling that I was forgetting someone, so I cross-referenced my handy-dandy Google spreadsheet that helps me keep track of what characters I have and haven't redrawn yet, and I realized I actually had one character that was just missing from the wheel entirely for an unknown amount of time. Not sure how or why or when she disappeared, but at least I found her and we'll draw her later in this video. Second of all, I forgot that I had a secondary prompt. I think I got used to drawing the teenager series where it only had an aesthetic and not a trait, so I got really fixated on the masculine cottagecore half of things and then forgot that I was given a color palette. To be fair, I did use green and a sort of greenish blue substantially in this piece. The yellow does go quite underutilized, but it is there. Genuinely a lovely color palette. If I had remembered that I was supposed to be using it, I would have been way more intentional about including yellow, and I do apologize because it would have looked great and perfectly suit this prompt, which I guess on that note I should consider myself pretty lucky because I don't know, I guess I subconsciously was influenced in the direction of this color palette. So what is masculine cottagecore? Honestly, not all that different from standard cottagecore, but I think you err on the side of looking like, to use the words of Rachel Maxey, a whiskey grandpa. It's sort of a middle zone between standard cottagecore and dark academia. Lots of loose-fitting trousers, suspenders, sweater vests, earth tones, and natural and woven materials. It's suitable attire for when you have to return your books to the library at 5 p.m. and be in the forest picking mushrooms by 6. And just like any style, masculine cottagecore is not really a gendered style. I actually see standard cottagecore as being very English garden, spring, summer cottage, and then mask cottagecore being more fall, winter, forest cottage vibes. So let's talk ever so briefly about Mizar and what I remember of her original character. Actually, I think she was one of my childhood self-insert characters. There are a couple of those in the grand collection of these childhood characters. A couple of characters that reflected my own thoughts and interests at the time, suitable within the context of characters, but also obviously in what I thought was a cooler, more fantasy protagonist sort of way. So she was not really the outspoken, bold one, but she also wasn't the elegant, shy one. She was the kind of smart, kind of excited for any adventure that came her way, and kind of was going to look cute and stylish while doing it. Which, you know, all things considered, pretty unlike me because I get kind of stressed if I have to leave the house to take an unplanned trip to the store for toilet paper. And something else that is very unlike me is that she has a twin brother. I don't have one of those. I have no brothers, only sisters, let alone a twin. Which, okay, so Celestials kind of just appear in the world and they all care for each other in different ways, and if necessary they make their own makeshift family units, so there aren't really any parents or siblings, the only exception being twins. That is when two Celestials appear in the same place at the same time, and Mizar's twin is Alcor. I'm not sure if you guessed it from her white hair and green eyes, but they are a pair, and the reason for that is because Mizar and Alcor are named after stars in the Big Dipper that appear to be very close together from the perspective of our Earth. They are one of the more well-known double stars that can be seen in our system, and actually in doing research for this, I found out that although I call my character Mizar, the name for the star actually comes from the Arabic word, which I am 100,000% not going to pronounce correctly, Mizar, which translates to a sort of covering or apron of sorts. These stars, Alcor and Mizar in combination, were actually used as ancient eye tests in various places of the world. You would locate Mizar in the Big Dipper, and if you were able to see Alcor as well, you would be considered to have excellent eyesight. If you were specifically in ancient Rome, passing the test would qualify you to serve as an archer in the Roman army. There's actually a lot of super interesting things about the star Mizar, but I'm running out of time, so let me return to my character, Mizar. So in Mizar's new iteration, I gave her a yellow spellbook because that's my only yellow thing that suits the prompt. I imagine she's a mage, and in my mind she has bright golden magic, so I can continue to suit the prompt. That, and I like the idea of her kind of following her namesake. She's a covering, she's a wrap, she's a protector, so she's very focused on creating shielding and healing magic. This new iteration of Mizar, I imagine to be, frail's not the right word, but I think very not athletic, a lot less athletic than the average person. And not like, oh, I'm so dainty, just in the genuinely physically not capable of wielding a sword in battle kind of way, because swords are really heavy. As much as it is my dream to be a super cool battle axe toting warrior, I would not survive a fantasy book, I'll be the first to admit. Even if I didn't have a bunch of seasonal allergies and a tendency to get sick at the slightest hint of a change in the weather, I think I would just simply pass away. But that is the end of our first character of the video, Mizar. Even though I forgot the prompt, technically I still passed. I just really like the design and I don't want to make any changes to it. I had a hankering to do a fun movement pose with a fluttering cape, and I love all the little details. I love her glasses. I love her little ear cuffs. And all that aside, I think she makes a pretty believable twin to our tall, quiet anime boy, Alcor. It's giving very social tomboy princess and quiet, handsome prince, like, you know, the webtoon trope, and I live for that. But she gets a bunch of people asking her, hey, can you introduce me to your twin brother? And she's always like, are you interested in my brother? Ew, no, why would you do that? That's gross. No. Okay, enough ruminating. On to our final spin that wheel. For real this time, even though we still have only one name on the wheel as an option. Obviously, we are going with Polaris, probably one of the most well-known stars in the sky, with the aesthetic vintage and the bonus trait of horns. I actually think I already rolled the horns prompt for Mirak, but I sort of retcon headcanon that he did take Polaris under his wing. So if the wheel is telling me to use the horn prompt again, so what if it's only because I forgot to take it off of the list? That's destiny, baby. Immediately right at the gate, struggling to draw a child, because the funny thing about Polaris is that she is a child. I very rarely draw children, and even in my younger years, I didn't really draw children all that much. Although, honestly, I think I drew them more back then than I do now. Still, figuring out how to draw a wee babby has been and forever will be baffling to me. And obviously, I have absolutely no ill intent when looking up references on Pinterest, but I do feel worried that Pinterest employees are judging me for searching up variations of the phrase drawing reference child. It's like how Pinterest used to flag you for searching anything with the word girl in it for a while, and I always got super stressed out because Pinterest was like, we don't allow you to search that word, you freak. And I'm like, please, I'm so normal, I promise. I just wanted to be specific about the kind of drawing reference I was looking for. Please don't send me to jail. Alright, so why is Polaris a child? I don't know, it has nothing to do with any of the star facts. I genuinely think it was because at the time of being a child, I thought it would be cool if a star that is known for being a guiding light and is so historically significant is represented by also a child. I guess I just wanted to see someone young be powerful and important, and I just thought it was kind of fun that everything revolved around keeping this little girl safe. So, fun star facts, you think 2 stars are cool? What about 3 stars? Because Polaris is actually 3 small stars orbiting together. Although, I'm not going to talk about the fact that Alcor and Mizar are actually potentially 6 stars orbiting together, but we're not talking about them anymore. Polaris is named obviously for her location being nearly aligned with our Earth's rotational axis and above the North Pole, which is why when you get those Northern Hemisphere time-lapse star trail pictures, they all seem to circle around Polaris, and also why she's been used for navigation for literally thousands of years. Over those years, she's gotten many names, for which again, I apologize in advance for my poor pronunciation, but I promise I am only putting these out because I love them. I genuinely think it's so cool. I love how important it has been for so many different people over the years. So in Hindu, she is called Dhruva, which translates to immovable. In Latin, she's called Stella Maris, translating to Star of the Sea. In Lakota, Wichakpi Owanjila, or the star that sits still. Inuit Nutuituk, meaning never moves. She is so important for history, mythology, religion, navigation. She's on flags. She is an icon. She is a legend, and she is the moment. So in the last bit of time that we have here with the Celestials, let's talk about what happened to Polaris artistically. So I gave her a relatively cartoony look because I cannot be bothered to draw a realistic toddler. I just had to settle. As for vintage, it was a fairly open-ended prompt. I personally, when I think of vintage, I think of those sepia photographs and those turn of the century 1900s vintage drop waist dresses. And as a bonus, these dresses have a fairly simple, straightforward design where I can just drape cloth over a person and not worry about whether or not I'm good at anatomy. They also often feature this little bib or like collar thing, and they kind of resembled the shape of the gorget, the armor piece that goes around the neck. And we are doing very minimal armor additions. She's a baby. We're not sending her into battle. She can barely keep her hair bow straight. Plus, nobody is really sure what she is capable of besides her putting stickers on everything. And who knows where she's grabbing those stickers from anyways. Brusha. She's getting them all from Brusha. And the stickers are obviously a full circle completion of Mirak's arc. I mentioned when I drew him that there's a small child that he cares for that likes to stick stickers on him, and here Polaris is. With Polaris and Mirak, I feel like it's nice for Polaris to have like a cool, trustworthy adult figure, and just children in general, someone that you share physical traits with so you know what to do with them. No other character in the lineup besides Mirak and Polaris have horns, and he would just know what to do if she got horn growing pains, and I think he would know how to make her feel less weird for being the only little kid, and a little kid with horns at that, kind of like an older brother. But that is the end of our Polaris drawing and the final of the Celestials. I did go in at the end to add a few more stickers in just to contrast with all the like pink and mauve that she has going on. She's definitely getting those stickers from Brusha and definitely sticking them on everybody she sees. I think this is a super cute drawing, just a fun little one to close out the series. And speaking of closing out the series, here are all the Celestials together in all of their chaotic rainbow glory. It's crazy to see them all together, and I look at them. They're in my drawings folders. I adore this lineup of characters so much. I think all of them are so cool, and they were all really fun to work on, which is saying something. Without all y'all's different prompts, I would never have drawn any of these characters looking like this. I would have never come up with these ideas on my own. And I feel like it's so rare for me to finish out a collection of characters and be happy with every character that's part of the series. But this one, from Megrez to Polaris and all the stars and asteroids along the way, this was an absolute treat. What is most important, I think, at the end of the day is that younger me would be absolutely floored by this lineup of characters. She would have loved all of them. I feel very proud and a little bit sentimental. I can't believe the Wheel of Redesigns is done. I mean, I still have plenty more childhood characters, so it's not like over. I really liked working on the Celestials. They were kind of my go-to thing whenever I had a lot of art blocks, so now I don't know what to do. We will all see together, I guess. But until then, who knows? Not me.